What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm also going to answer the question, is the crash done for Tesla? Is the bottom in for Tesla, or is Tesla going to see more downside in the future? I'll give you guys my opinion about this as time goes on. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. Moomoo is an amazing global brokerage account that consists of many exclusive offers. If you sign up and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposits $2,000, you're guaranteed 25, and deposit $5,000, you're guaranteed 60. Just keep the money in the account for at least 60 days. You'll also qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and this offer ends on June 3rd. Anyways, as far as Tesla's going, as you guys could tell, we have a quadruple bottom that's forming right here. And don't forget that next month, for the month of June, we do have the Robotaxi launch event, which is very, very bullish for Tesla, and it does open a lot of doors for upside. However, one thing I want to mention is that one thing that happens typically, at least for many stocks out there, is that when we leave lots of gaps, these gaps do typically get filled. Not 100% of the time. I would say the large majority of the time, but not always. Let me kind of like go over why I say this. So on Tesla, when we look back at the charts, okay, if we go all the way back to like 2023, 2024, there are some gaps left here at like the 140s, even around like the 150 area. I can't promise if this gap will get filled, but there were a lot of other gaps that ended up getting filled because besides this one, every gap did get filled up until the ones that are just left. And let me elaborate on that. So when you look at Tesla, right, as you guys could tell, we had this big sell off in 2024. Tesla was in the 170s. We had this one gap that formed right here, and then Tesla came down to fill it. Then we saw this rally in July of 2024, but notice that we left one, two gaps like this, and we ended up coming back down to those levels. Upon our dip, we left a big gap over here in the 240s. There was a lot of gaps left on Tesla, and then we saw Tesla slowly rally back up to fill this gap. So this gap over here got filled because of the rally. Then there's more gaps left over here that gives us a hint that we eventually came back down. And then what happened was Tesla started this monstrous rally towards the end of 2024. So notice that we just gapped up and went, gapped up and went. We gapped up. We left three giant gaps over here between 215 and 340 basically. And we rallied all the way up towards 500 or very close to 500, but we had all these gaps left over, and then Tesla eventually came down and started to fill all these gaps. So there are some gaps left here. There actually is a gap over here at for example, in like the 450s. I think there's also a gap left at 399. We will eventually run to the 400s again on Tesla. Okay, it's going to happen again. But the question is, how is this going to pan out? So notice that the majority of gaps do get filled. And for now, we're going to be looking at one thing that's very simple. So when you look at Tesla, we left a lot of gaps during this run for the last couple of days. Tesla used to be at the 230s. We got this huge gap up. So there's still a gap left in the 230s. And then, we have this rally that's been continuing, but I do believe we will eventually return to fill this gap. Now, right now, we're not ready to come down and fill the gap. You want to see Tesla lose at least like 266. If that fails us, I do think we could be returning to like the 230s to fill the gap. As of right now, we haven't done that. In fact, the share price is looking a bit more bullish because of all this news that's been coming out. We have this quadruple bottom on Tesla, a very nice accumulation, and we need to see if Tesla could break and hold above this zone right over here. We have a lot of liquidity around the 280s to 290s, but if we break 292, I do want to mention that when you zoom into Tesla and go to like the 4-hour basis, you'll see that we're forming a bullish structure right now because this is looking like a flag, and then simultaneously there's like an accumulation right over here, which looks pretty good so far. So this whole structure is looking like a nice accumulation right here, right? You got this quadruple bottom. This is like very Wyckoffean looking, which means that this is like our very, very big accumulation phase. And then this could lead to a nice breakout into the 300s if we break out of the 290s. So the market, I'm going to actually review something. The market is looking bullish. SPY is bullish right now. It's actually trying to go for 570. The QQQ is also trying to rally. We're bullish, but there are still gaps left over. So this is giving us a hint about the future. If you look at SPY, the large majority of gaps do fill. Maybe not everything, but typically they do fill almost always. The majority of the time they do. So SPY has gaps in the 550s. There's also a gap in the 520s. Okay. And I do see a very, very big level at 510. So I do think the 510 to 520 area will be revisited, but we're not ready yet. We're bullish for now. We could be pushing with all the news coming out involving President Trump and these trade talks, but we will eventually return to fill this gap down here. Okay. So SPY will one day return to 510 to 520. I just don't know exactly when it's going to be. I don't know if the catalyst is going to be involving our tariffs, if it's going to be because of our GDP numbers or the Fed. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be. One thing that's worth mentioning is that President Trump just said that he doesn't think that the US is in a recession when asked about it. Sorry, I think I have the headline right over here. So, right over here, President Trump was talking about it. He was asked, do you think the US is in a recession? He said no. He thinks that we're not in a recession and he thinks that we're doing okay. He said everything is going to be okay and that we're doing a fantastic job. He thinks the economy is doing fantastic and that inflation is coming down. And he also thinks that the Fed needs to cut rates as soon as possible. He's been repeating this, a bunch of times. He's been saying that over and over again. He's not happy with the way Jerome Powell is doing things, and he wants to see the Fed cut as soon as possible. So for now, there's a lot of optimism in the markets when you have President Trump saying we're not in a recession, when you have all these trade deals coming out potentially. The big catalyst that's good for the markets for now, which is helping us rally, is the fact that China have come out and they're saying they want to negotiate with the US. This is greatly benefiting Tesla, SPY, the QQQ, and the entire market because this is the first time China has come out, especially their commerce ministry, saying that they want to hold the trade talks with the US. They also started to decrease and exempt some US products from tariffs, about $40 billion worth, which is some big news. So that's what's worth mentioning. I do want to say that it depends now on what's going to happen. Are we going to see a big decrease in the tariffs with these trade deals? Are we going to see something different? It all depends, and that's why it's a little bit difficult to predict this. Our GDP growth was negative for Q1 of 2025, so please keep that in mind. And we'll have to see if this continues. Do we see more negative GDP quarters? Does that take us into a recession? What's the Fed going to do? Right now, there's a 97% chance they're going to keep rates the same, but we'll see if they continue to ease up on policy. So for now, the market has all these gaps. Even the QQQ has gaps at 474, even a gap down to 444. We will return to these lows again, but we're not ready yet. I do think we might be pushing for 490 to 494 first. We could see the QQQ test 494. We're going to rally higher with all this news about trade talks between the US and China and a potential deal coming. But in the future, we will return to fill these gaps. I don't know if it's going to be this month or next month. I don't know if it's going to be in Q3. It depends on all these different factors. So we're just going to play the price action for now. Even ES has a big gap at 5,300. It's going to fill. It could rally towards like 5750 or so, try to get back up to our 200 EMA. So it might be bullish for now. But in the future, we do have this gap to fill at the 5300s. On NQ, it's the same thing. We're bullish for now, but we're looking at this 20,300 area to see if we reject or not. I do think we could push here, and we'll see if we come back down to fill the gap at 18,300. Tesla, like I said before, has that giant gap to fill all the way down here in the 230s. We could rally to the 300s first, though. We could see a temporary rally with all this talk about the trade deal between the US and China, and even because of some news about Tesla. Keep in mind, next month we also have the Robotaxi launch event, which could be bullish. So it's possible Tesla either rallies for now, maybe it even rallies like next month. But we're going to see, do we come down to fill this gap before the Robotaxi event, or do we just rally first and then come down later? It all depends, right? But my point is the downside's not done yet. Tesla will eventually return to fill this gap. We're going to rally for now. We're bullish for now, but in the future, whether it's the later weeks of this month or next month or towards the end of the year, we're going to eventually return to the 230s. Okay. Nvidia is the same thing. We have a bunch of gaps down here. There's a gap at 99. There's a gap over here. We're going to come down to fill these gaps. Yes, it could try to rally if you break 115 to push towards like 117. Apple could also try to push a bit higher, but then don't forget we have these gaps to fill. So you want to be very, very careful, at least nonetheless. As far as the VIX is going, let me just mention that right now there's a falling wedge on the daily. Not the best of news, at least so far, for the bears because I just want to say that the VIX is bearish. As of right now, it's bearish. The VIX could be dipping to 22. Maybe it's going to fall all the way down to 20. As you can tell, it's making lower highs and lower lows. But this wedge, once we get the breakout, this could eventually lead to a big rally. So if you look at the entire year, for example, every time we have a falling wedge, it does lead to a breakout. Sometimes it takes a little long, but eventually it will happen. And in this case, we have a falling wedge, and I want to mention there's a gap over here around almost 40 on the VIX. So we will return to 40, but I don't know if it's going to take a couple of weeks. It's going to take a couple of months. I don't know when we're going to get that breakout. It could even happen later on during this month. So keep that in mind, guys. There's going to be a lot of risk right now for the markets. So is the stock market crash over? No, I don't think we're done with the downside yet. I wouldn't use the word crash. I'd say correction is maybe a better word. We're not ready to bottom completely yet. I can't make that promise yet, but we're just going to follow the price action for now. We're just going to take this one day at a time. Tesla may try to rally for the 300s, yes, and we'll see if we get a bad catalyst to start dumping back down to fill this gap before the robotaxi event, or if it happens after the robotaxi launch in June. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen. So I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. The market's bullish right now. SPY is going to push for maybe 570 plus, 575. The QQQ could push for 494. Tesla could push for 300 if we break resistance. There is potential looking at the chart. We'll see if we get that breakout. Nvidia could try to push if we break 115. We could push higher for now. With all this trade talk and everything that's coming out involving President Trump in China, we're bullish for now. But later on, there's going to be a risk of us coming down to fill these gaps, whether it's because of our negative GDP, maybe it's the Fed, whatever the catalyst is, we'll just have to wait and see. So it doesn't make sense to just gamble in the markets and just try to YOLO into shorts for no reason. You have to wait and see on the chart for confirmation and wait and see if we get that, motion. So wait and see how things end up going. Is Tesla bullish? Yes. But in the future, I just want to say that are we officially bottomed? I can't make that promise yet. So I want to give you guys a warning about that. We will eventually return to fill some gaps. Okay. So thank you for listening. I don't think the market's done with the selling yet, but we have to give it some time just to see how things develop in the economy and with President Trump. Thank you for listening. Have a good day and peace out.